The final day of Cheltenham started as ever with a triumph hurdle. A good enough win here for Clixios. My tip, Adagio winning well enough in second, but I think it was always going to be held. Zanahiyr favourite, pulled too hard early on. I felt Tonic did as well a bit. Zanahiyr, I think, more obviously pulled hard, and both a little bit disappointing there. And Clixios a win for the all-conquering team this week of Rachel Blackmore, Henry de Bromhead and Chieveley Park Stud. The second race was a county handicap hurdle, and I have to admit I preferred this race when it was the final race of a festival as it used to be, and I think it's a better race, frankly, than the Martin Pipe hurdle to be in that position, although the Martin Pipe hurdle is a competitive handicap to end with. Win here for Belfast Banter, and a horse who really rather surprised, and he battled, and racing post comments and running say ran on well, which is interesting as on his 17 previous runs that isn't said at all about him, and it was a comment that a horse didn't battle at all. Well, he certainly did today. The old stager Petit Mouchoir at 10 years old running a blinder on 11.5 to be a good second place. Petit Mouchoir actually all the way back in 2017 was third in the champion hurdle. The Albert Bartlett novices hurdle, registered as a Spa novices hurdle, was won by Vermilion, who was always up with the pace during the race, and a very impressive win there by 11 lengths. My horse Streets Odoyon running a well enough for third place. This was a race in which a number of well-fancied horses, Choreograph, Fakira, Barbados Bucks and Amaral were all disappointing. So it was a form hold-up. A favourite one, okay, Statler, but Vanilla won the race very easily, so I think hopefully he's got a good future in front of him. But Gold Cup early on was frankly bizarre. And I always had issues with Champ from 12 months ago, in fact. And actually, what the simple thing I'll do is I just copy an audio I made after the ERSA Chase. I made a recording on the Wednesday evening of 2020 about the racing that day. And I actually said in this now, I just copied the 2 minutes into this video, really. But it showed my feeling that the horse probably was better off from the stairs hurdle, in fact, rather than going chasing. I'll just copy that into this now.
So moving to the ERSA. And a absolutely bizarre race in which Champ came from nowhere. I was watching Champ because I was running Howard Jump, and I didn't think he jumped well at all. I was watching him as much as the other horses, because my horse Pim was beaten quite early and pulled up, so I had time to watch Champ as much as anyone else. He jumped badly, and in a miraculous victory, I remember seeing it coming up the hill from nowhere. You never thought he was going to win, so well over 300 to 1 match with decentish money on Betfair, astonishing performance. Certainly Rachel Blackmore was wide there, made a mistake of final flight, that Emily Indo of course, got it slightly wrong, and Champ came flying through, not Rachel Blackmore's fault, of course, maybe slightly tired. Might be two different races at Cheltenham Festival, that performance. Firstly, it was Mike Bite versus Whisper. Whisper came from a mile back because of Mike Bite's strange antics after the final flight. Then Mike Bite and remarkably just edging back ahead of Whisper. And then I'm not the only one on Twitter, certainly, to comment out which is on lineman and under AP McCoy, especially as of course Champ is named after AP McCoy. And I think Wichita Lyman jumped worse than Champ, I have to say, when he won that. A magnificent performance from Tony McCoy to get the horse up. However, sadly, and it is a bit of a downer, what happened to him afterwards? He won next time out in the Irish Grand National and tragically was killed in a fall. I am not keen on Champ at all for anything like the Gold Cup, and I think, and I'm always trying to think of this, which Grade 1s I think he might have a chance in next year, which don't necessarily be really good jumping. Even King George, I mean, the Kempton is a sharp track. It's still going at speed. I'm almost thinking, well, maybe Jim Dixon chasing down Royal is probably easiest. Champ obviously has a great engine, but I agree with a couple of comments we've passed on in preview meetings. So he might be better off in the stairs hurdle, and I think he probably was, really. I'm not convinced. He should have gone over fences, and to be honest, there's too many good hurdlers over fences, just as well, because something to do almost. I think there's too much obsession sending hurdlers over fences, and I think he might have been better off where he was.
So go back to the race. Santini also was disappointing. Been a bit in and out, and I just never have travelling. Two very disappointing efforts from the Nicky Henderson horses, Champ and Santini. Vanilla Indo staying on very well indeed to win the race ahead of La Plutard. Richard Blackmore just failing to win the Gold Cup there. Album Filter was kept in a little bit on the home turn, but I doubt that made a difference. Horses beaten enough in third place. Remember when poor Carbon Harbour Pilot trying to keep best mated in 2004 Cheltenham Gold Cup up to the home turn. Quite a few boos from the crowd. As I said again in another video somewhere, it's not a Jim Garner, and he perfectly entitled without as long as keeping with the rules, to keep a jockey in. And in the end, Best Mate did enough to win that race. He was good enough. Photo is a good horse, and has won 2 Gold Cups, but just not good enough today. My horse Rated River came fourth, but I missed 20 lengths down and just stayed on through beating horses. Foden won a great race, I feel, and just didn't stay. And it was a great effort from Foden and Bryony Frost. Warper Guy ended up in 6th place, was always at the back, and I don't think was ever involved at all. The interesting thing about Warper Guy is he's a novice, but had 11 chases, and that's actually only one less than Album Photo. And Best Mate, when he talking about 2004 Gold Cup, before that Gold Cup, he'd also had 12 races, so Warper Guy running here nearly as experienced as Album Photo is this year, and Best Mate was before his 2004 third Gold Cup win. Black Hawk ran well for quite a while, and just at the end just couldn't hold his position. Kembo was well beaten. I think I was unlucky a couple of years ago, brought down, but hasn't been good enough since then. And Milano Indo, 8 years old, certainly good enough to win it, maybe win a race again. There's obviously been a lack of horses winning more than 1 Gold Cup, but obviously Monkfish will be a major threat next year. Hopefully, it'd be great to see those 2 involved. Battle Plutardi, I think, will run well again, and Album Photo still might well be involved. Then we have not the Fox Hunters, as of course the name had to be changed basically because of the situation of amateur riders. So it's actually really called an Open Hunters Chase. A win there for Porlock Bay. Good to see trainer Will Biddick, always a good amateur rider. A trainer win here in a thrilling finish, just holding off his favourite Billaway. My horse Bob and Co was running all right when he tipped up. I'm not sure he's going quite well enough, and I have to say, although he was on terms, I suspect he probably wouldn't have won the race. Then I have a new Mare's Chase, named after Libertine. I have to say, I've commented on Twitter about this. I'm not sure Libertine's really the right horse to have a race named after. One of the old plate, or used to be called Marmaya Fleet, and was a good mare also at Aintree. I have to say, one's a bit of nepotism here, with the connections with Whaley Cohen, especially Robert Whaley Cohen with Cheltenham, with a naming after his horse. In my view, Alan Lagg's daughter or Glencorrig Lady certainly may have been better horses to actually name a race after. Great finish for Cole with the edging Ellie May with my tip Shattered Love. Running on well in third, never quite ever going to get there it looked like. Of course, Shattered Love winning the Gordon Miller Chase a couple of years ago. Now, an interesting question you have to ask is this race necessary? And I'm not sure. I'm just wondering, in fact, if they just actually kept the old Centenary Handicap Chase, the 2.5 mile handicap chase novices. I'm not sure you need another mare's race. It might detract from some of the other races. Certainly at 2.5 miles it may detract from the Ryanair Chase. But then we'll see in future what happens with the race. And finally we have the Martin Pipe Conditional Jockeys Handicap Hurdle. And actually Lee Cavello in 6th place is actually David Pipe's best result in this race. Just doesn't ever seem to get things together. And Nick Henderson seems to have a much better record in his dad's race than David Pipe does in his dad's race. And you may know we had very sad news earlier in the day that Chester Barnes, Martin Pipe's long-time assistant, had died of a heart attack. I think it was today, and that's obviously very sad news. Chester Barnes and Martin Pipe, a great team there in horse racing. Galloping just Champ winning the race, giving Willie Mullins actually the champion trainer title. Willie Mullins and Henry de Bombet have 6 each, but on a count back of number 2nd, Willie Mullins is a top trainer. Oh, he isn't, and what I mean by that is Willie Mullins has 6 winners, Henry de Bombet had 6 winners, but I think we all know who the top trainer of the festival really is in terms of what they've done. Magnificent from Henry de Bombet, the first runner ever to train the winner of the Champion Hurdle, Champion Chase and the Gold Cup at the same festival. And of course you can hardly move away from Rachel Blackmore. Rachel Blackmore, 6 winners, I think it's joint 2nd highest ever in the festival, and that is just a wonderful performance of any jockey. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, it's just absolutely fantastic. Been a great festival for her. I was going through a couple of videos I did last year after the festival, and this one thing I had mentioned there was the stewards' inquiries and just saying what results them were, and I do that now for the 4 days. I just completely missed I'd done that last year, and I think it's useful just to give information about what the decisions were. Going back to Tuesday, and in fact the first race of the meeting was Supreme Officer's Hurdle. Metier, who was 7th, Harry Fry, was asked about what happened to the horse, and he could give no explanation for Gelding's performance. In the Arkle, Harry Skelton was cautioned for careless riding on All Mankind on the home turn. In the Ultimate Chase, OK Corral was found to be lame, and that Milan native, Alan Adam, and Admiral Secret all had lost one of their shoes. In the issue, I made a bit of a joke about Goshan in my Tuesday video, And Jamie Moore basically said he hung badly wide, and I think we know that from what we saw in the race. And there's no abnormalities, as I said there might be. Was an explanation of something wrong with the horse? I said in my video on Tuesday, there isn't, and basically, well, there's something wrong with the horse, but I'm afraid I think it's in the horse's head. With David Nicholson mare's hurdle, Nicky Henderson said Floressa would want quicker ground. The Boodle's Fred Winter hurdle bustled in. A veterinary officer said that Gelding had lost his left foreshoe, and Joseph O'Brien saying that a mistake at the fourth last hurdle had actually damaged the horse's chances as well. And in the National Hunt Challenge Cup, the veterinary officer said that Ascara 10, who finished third, had shown signs of mild heat stress post-race. Wednesday, the Ballymore hurdle, the veterinary officer reporting Does He Know, who finished fifth, had lost his right foreshoe. The Coral Cup, Richard Condon on Heaven Helpers they stated had failed to walk or jig dog into the start, and Condon was suspended for one day, but of course he won the race, so it's not exactly a disaster for him in that terms. I'm sure he'd happy to have a 1 day suspension if you're going to win the Coral Cup. However, a further 2 days for using his whip without time to respond approaching the final hurdle. And both times that's an interesting list, and being a £7 claimer, you're allowed to be accompanied by a senior rider in a steward's inquiry. So with Condon winning the race, but a bit of a downside for him there with in total a 3 day suspension. And the veterinary officer saying that Gary de Julie had been unplaced, had been struck into on its right hind. An interesting one, Notebook and put the kettle on the champion chase failing to parade, obviously both trained by Henry de Bromhead. And apparently both had come fractious in the preliminaries and were reluctant to parade, and racecourse executive had given them permission not to parade, and that's so the steward's obviously saying, well, that's fine, you've given permission, you don't have to parade. But it's interesting that why neither paraded in that race. 2 day suspension for Paul Townend in the same race as on Track and Passoir, as he caused interference and was done careless riding. In the Glenfarclas cross-country steeplechase, Kim Temptation, who you may have seen fall just on the flat, sadly suffered an injury, and that's why the horse fell, and the stewards has looked into that. Tiger Roll, it says here, appeared to show improved form compared to with its previous one at Cheltenham. Yeah, I think we can tell that, certainly. And Connection saying he seemed to enjoy a return to Cheltenham in the spring. He was routine tested as well. So, well, a spring horse definitely to Tiger Roll, and the two is not taking the action on that. And also after the race, Hogan's height in 6 and lost two shoes, and that David Carey, who had been pulled up, had an irregular heartbeat. The Grand Annual Embittered, trained by Joseph Bryan, had been late in parade ring to his rider falling the previous race and being delayed in returning to the saddle. That jockey, of course, being Rachel Blackmore, and unfortunately she fell unembittered in this race as well, but had a great meeting despite a few falls. Amula Gold, in 8th place, had lost a shoe as well. In the Marsh, registered as a Golden Miller chase, what a bizarre situation. Our inquiry into the circumstances of a slight delay due to safety concerns surrounding an advertising blimp, and that blimp was removed before racing could start. After the race, the vet reporting Australian Falange, Chantry House and Dalva Star all lost their white foreshoe. And in the attempts, Imperial Alcazar, who was very disappointing, the vet pointed out that he'd actually been struck into in his left fore. In the Ryanair chase, there's issues with the start there, and Rachel Blackmore, Walsh, Bass, Cooper, Townend, Kennedy and Mullins all suspended for 1 day. And Imperial Aura had another disappointment there. Kim Bailey could give no other explanation than David Baffler jockey reporting Imperial Aura was never travelling and stopped quickly. The vet reported Imperial Aura had bled from the nose. In terms of Mellon, Willie Mullins saying the gelding was never travelling. For Min, Willie Mullins also saying the gelding had jumped poorly, and Min was routinely tested. And for Mr. Fisher, Nick Anderson could offer no explanation for Mr. Fisher's performance. And for Sam Crow, the Connection saying that Sam Crow made a bad mistake 6 out and afterwards was never travelling. For the Stairs hurdle, Dak Kennedy reported Fury Road, who was pulled up was never travelling and jumped poorly, although the vet could find no abnormalities. And the Storyteller came 5th, had been struck into. In the plate, the vet saying Mr. Whittaker, who was unplaced, had bled from the nose. In the Dawn Run hurdle, Ulrika Harler, the favourite, who was unplaced. Peter Fahey saying that she was unsuited by the going, and he felt the going was tacky, more wheelie than good to soft, and the mare would want a quicker surface. And that the vet said that Ulrika Harler was also, during routine testing, was mildly lame on its right fore. In the Footwarm and Kimbrel Challenge Cup, Harry Bannister, who was brought down 3 out on Bob Marler, was banned for 2 days for using his whip with excessive force and coming down the hill. And Providence Arbor, who was pulled up, Philip Hobbs saying the gelding was outpaced. For today, Triumph Hurdle, the vet saying talking about you who's 7th, who lost his right hind shoe. Alan King saying Tritonic was unsuited by the going, and he's actually would prefer quicker surface, a surface that was sufficiently good to soft good in places. In the County Handicap Hurdle, Global Citizen, David Bass saying the gelding has stopped quickly, and Ben Pauling could give no explanation either, apart from basically that. And the only vet's abnormality that was found was a small wound in Global Citizen's left hind. From the race, the vet who reported Wolf Prince was unplaced and lost its left foreshoe, and Milkwood, who was third, lost his left hind shoe. Darrell Keefe saying You Raised Me Up, who was quite well supported, was unplaced and lost its action, and the vet said the gelding was lame on its left hind. The Albert Bartlett Hurdle, Simon Towins on Streets of Diane, who was third, as saying was my tip, was suspended for 2 days for using his whip above a permitted level just before the turn-in, and Towins also cautioned for careless riding as he slightly interfered with Stackler on the home turn. Vanilla definitely showing improved forms, I would say, saying compared to its previous one at Leopardstown on the 6th of February, was 10th out of 13 for beaten 59 lengths. Gavin Cromwell's explanation the yard had been out of form, and now the yards of horses are running well, and I think, to be fair, I think I was picked up before the race actually, but Gavin Cromwell's horses are in much better form, and the horse was routine tested. Vakira had been favourite and was finished unplaced, and the connections say you can give no explanation, and the vet saying we couldn't find anything either. Richard Johnson saying Admiral in the same race had lost his left hind shoe, and the Gola also unplaced lost his left foreshoe. An interesting situation with Gold Cup. Applotard in the go late in the parade due to difficulties fitting the tongue tie, and Melinda was actually late for similar reasons. Rachel Blackmore suspended for 2 days, so a bit of a downer on a great festival time for her, for using her whip too much from turning in. And Royal Pagai lost his left foreshoe and left hind shoes and was lame on his left hind. Hopefully that will not harm his career, because he's certainly he's a very promising horse. As saying, I think this falls in France were going. My horse, I wouldn't have run him, I have to say, and it's not because of the going and the issues of his jumping elsewhere. Fox Hunters, as was, but of course don't actually call the Open Hunters steeplechase. Harry Gobden said Shamaran, who was pulled up a jump poorly, and the vet reported Bob & Co, who was unseated, had blood in its right nostril post-race. In the new Libertine Mare steeplechase, the vet saying Chili Philly, 6th, had been stuck into its white 4, and Really Super, who had been pulled up and lost its left hind shoe, and Rachel Blackmore pulled up Cabaret Queen, as she said the horse had been never travelling. And in the Martin Pipe Hurdle at the end of the meeting, following race, Oakley Brown reported that Fire Attack, who was pulled up 1, 2, 3, hung badly white, and Joseph Brown said the same thing. The vet could not find any actual abnormalities, and the vet reported that Elegante in Desoy, who was unplaced, had lost his left foreshoe.